All right, looks like I'm live now. Just want to check and see. Just to confirm. All right. So I also want to share this into the group. So if you don't know me, my name is Jessica. I am a certified yoga therapist, and I am really focused on helping women in perimenopause. So I myself started this group 4 years ago, and then I've been helping women using my yoga therapy training. And because it is such a huge problem, I've been helping all kinds of women now um, with everything that's really midlife. There's parallel things that happen. Um, it's not necessarily perimenopause related, like marital issues. It happens at the same time a lot, but it's not because of the perimenopause. So I'll talk about both of those things. Um, as an educator, I think it's important that we get quality information, and I don't impose my own values on what I'm sharing. So I've got a live chat. I'm just going to say hello. I'm going to try to monitor this while I'm making this recording. But um, I'm trying something different. So I've had a bit of an epiphany last night where I've been working on this book. I have a book proposal that's due at the end of July, and I need to write a chapter on brain fog and a chapter on sleep, because when you submit a book proposal to Hay House, you do two subjects, two chapters as your sample chapters. And I've really been struggling with how to go about doing that because I'm having brain fog myself. And I am also dyslexic, and reading and writing have always been a challenge for me. But in perimenopause, everything's a lot harder. Like just everything is a lot harder. I have a harder time remembering words and putting my thoughts together and blah, 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 but I can still talk and talk your ear off. So the idea that I had is to start a Zoom meeting. That's what this is. The Zoom meeting is being recorded onto the cloud. The cloud will then spit out a transcript. The transcript can then be used and edited to basically make an entry in my book. So we're going through the questions on brain fog. The first question is, who am I now? Will I ever be myself again? I feel like I don't recognize myself. Firstly, I just want to acknowledge this comes up a lot. I have heard this a lot from women over the last 5 years. Because we have identified with our jobs and our relationships with other people and how we function throughout our day has largely been based on how we are in service to others as women. When we have trouble focusing, hard time concentrating, difficulty retaining information, hard time learning, difficulty remembering what words we were trying to come up with, expressing our feelings might become harder because we're overwhelmed and we can't focus. What happens throughout the perimenopause journey, and I've seen this with many of the women I've spoken with and myself, there's a dip in the cognitive functioning. A lot of it has been for me related to sleep. If I didn't sleep well, and eating nutritious food seems to really help, and omega-3 fatty acids seems to help. Talking to other women seems to help. But I don't know if it's possible to completely avoid this dip in cognitive function. Maybe if you got hormone replacement therapy at exactly the right time, it could be avoided. But what I've also seen is that you do come out of it. Like I am coming out of it now. I still have bad brain fog days, but I have learned some ways of coping with that. And I actually finished a book last night which I think is the third or fourth book that I've read this year, which is three more than I read last year. Last year I was only able, and I mean like read the book as in like you read it from the top to the bottom. Like I couldn't do it anymore. I felt like I wasn't retaining any information, and things have come around. So yes, you will come back to more of a normal place of who and how you are in the world. However, because we've going through perimenopause into menopause is kind of a dark night of the soul. A lot of things that you don't need anymore fall away, and we need to simplify our lives. Sometimes how you come out the other side does look quite different. Um, and one of the coaches I know is calling it like U 2.0, where you get an upgrade. So have hope, things do get better. And there's lots of different things you can try for brain fog, such as tapping. Definitely helps. Question number 2, is this normal? Brain fog, although it's really concerning, very distressing for a lot of people. I remember thinking, I just can't. I dropped out of my stream to get a counseling psychology master's degree because I couldn't read anymore the way that I used to. I used to love reading. And it was very discouraging to realize that I needed to take a pause on my post-secondary education. However, once I started talking to other women in my group when I started it 4 years ago, um, I really got this feeling like, wow, this is so common. And then recently I did a survey about what our most troubling symptoms are, and brain fog came up as number one. So is this normal? Yes. And there are good sources of information. I like the menopause brain. Lisa Mosconi. She is a medical doctor, PhD, and definitely a good resource. She talks a lot about our brains and how they are different. It's supposed to give you hope. The first few things that I read didn't really give me hope. But it doesn't mean that you're developing dementia. It doesn't mean that there's something really wrong with you. It is considered a common situation for many of us as we go through menopause. So keep that in mind. We try not to use the word normal because normal implies just put up with it. But we do talk about it in terms of this is a very common experience. One of the things that I've found very helpful to try is working with mindfulness. Mindfulness means you're paying attention to your thoughts. And the whole labeling something as normal is actually pretty dysfunctional. We have a very wide variety in our human experience of what could be considered to be just part of aging. And normal, I think, is an illusion. So try not to get caught up in that. And if you start thinking that way, ask yourself questions. Are you trying to be like someone else? Are you trying to compare yourself to someone else? That can be a slippery slope and problematic. All right, so question number 3, why is this happening to me? I remember feeling that I was really losing my identity of myself as an intelligent woman. I had a lot of trouble at school. As I said, I'm dyslexic, so reading and writing did not come easily for me. I wasn't actually fully literate until grade 10, where I could sit in a class and write an in-class essay and pass. Um, so the question, why is this happening, goes back to estrogen and brain function. So the simplest way that I like to think about the brain is really squishy and it's made of fat, essentially. Fat is what makes the world go round. For a lot of us women, we've been restricting our calories and trying to eat a low fat diet, and that doesn't actually help our brains function. We need those healthy fats to function well. So that's one thing that you could look into. Um, are you supplementing with fish oil or other omega-3 fatty acids? Personally, I think that I do better with actual food. So I've been eating more fish. I've been eating mackerel and salmon, and I made a trout the other night that was fantastic. And I think that those things really do help. I feel that the ground flaxseed has really helped me as well with all of my menopause symptoms. It's really good for gut health. There is connections between your gut health and your brain health. So you can look into that as a possibility. But why it's happening is very simply we have less estrogen in the whole system, and our brains use those hormones and the fatty acids, the fats, the healthy fats to function properly. And we need to supplement. Things to try on this question, why is this happening to me, is even looking into a little bit more about the changes in midlife. I got a book once on gallbladder disease and how common it was for women to need to have their gallbladder removed during perimenopause and menopausal years. And the theory in the book was really, if you boil it down, we're just dry. It's just overall dryness. So if you have overall dryness and the gallbladder is a little sac that makes bile and it houses the bile that squirts on your food as you digest. If it's too dry, then the bile itself can turn into little stones, and the stones cause pain and difficulty digesting. And once I understood that as a general concept and I saw dryness can lead to all kinds of situations in your body. And so making sure that you're getting enough water, and again, the fatty acids really make a difference to that. Number 4 is, did I do something wrong? I tried to take care of myself. And I think I want to address the frustration that's embedded in that question. Did I do something wrong? No, probably not. Could I have taken better care of ourselves? In general, could women take better care of themselves? That's arguable. We have a lot of pressure on our lives. We have multiple people demanding attention from us at any given time, and that can be really exhausting. When we are going through our, prime years of our lives in our 20s and 30s, if you want to think of those as prime years, I no longer think of them as prime years. I think I was pretty daft, really. But physically, I was in good shape. We have a lot of natural hormones running the show, and the show is tend and befriend. Make friends with other people and make sure that the people around you are okay. And a lot of the time, our healthy lifestyle, I can't tell you how many women I have talked to in the last 5 years about their perimenopause and menopause who tell me they do not have time to exercise. That's a mindset issue. Finding time to exercise, and I get it. It's hard. When I joined the gym, I was like, it's not the hour that you spend at the gym. It's getting everything ready to go to the gym. It's actually driving to the gym. It's spending the hour in the gym and then having a shower and getting ready to go about your day after. So it's really about a 2-hour proposition if you're going to be realistic about it, if you're going to go out to the gym. I've been working with an online trainer, and that really helps because I don't have to go anywhere. I think we do get points for everything we've ever done to try and take care of ourselves. I believe that there's no sense in spending a lot of time worrying about the things that we did before in our lives because that's in the past. We can't do anything about that. If we didn't eat well, like when I got pregnant with my first child, I was living on busking money. So I was playing guitar and singing on the street for a living. And my diet consisted of hot dogs, white rice, and cigarettes. You know, That's pretty much what I lived on until I realized that I was pregnant. And then I started trying to, take better care of myself. So this is a similar situation. Once you realize that you're in perimenopause, you can look into learning all about how to take care of your body. It's a little bit different, and we have to prioritize taking care of ourselves in a new way. So one thing you can do is join the gym or get a personal trainer or get the book Next Level and learn all about different ways of taking care of your body physically. I like working with a trainer because then you don't have to worry about doing it wrong. The trainer will help you and get you on the right track. And then the fifth question, number 5, what will happen if I can't work my job like before? This is a legitimate question, and I'm very lucky because I've been self-employed. I teach music lessons and I work with women one-on-one, and I run this group and I help people figure out what they need to do next. And I can take the day off if I need to. So there are some changes that you might need to make. And I look at it this way. If you do need to make changes about how you work, then it's your obligation to pursue those changes. Because if you don't, you're working against yourself and hurting the people around you. So the way I like to explain this is if I need a crutch or a cane or a walker or a wheelchair, I need that. It's been recommended, right, to do that. And I don't. I'm going to be falling down and hurting myself and burdening the people around me. That doesn't mean, like take away the judgment of the moral judgment of that. It doesn't mean that you're a bad person if you're having trouble realizing that you need like accommodations at work and you're afraid to ask for them. It doesn't mean that you're a bad person if you're resistant to take the help that you need. However, it is under that self-care umbrella. You have to take care of yourself. So if the way that you work needs to change, you'll need to adjust to that. One of my favorite doctors, Sarah Cizal, formerly Gottfried, she likes to talk about doing a check-in in the morning. How am I doing? What do I need to do? And then adjusting. So maybe you were going to plan on running that day, but you had a really terrible sleep. So you don't run and instead you just go for a walk or you have your weighted vest on and walk on the treadmill. You've made adjustments for yourself. When you do that, you show everybody else how to also make themselves a priority and how to take care of themselves. With brain fog, you may need to adjust your organization of how you get your job done. You may need to incorporate using things like your Google Calendar. I do everything based on what my calendar tells me to do. I use my phone with little reminders, so it sends me a little reminder a half an hour before I have an appointment or before I have a meeting or something that I have to do. I've started doing meal planning. Meal planning has made a big difference to the mental load because you can't just keep trying to do things the way you've always done them before and expect the same results. You're not the same, so the way that you work has to change. And a good work environment will recognize that that's something that needs to happen. You can get a doctor's note. The good news is it is going to be temporary as you figure out different ways of coping with it and dealing with it. You'll find different ways of helping yourself to feel better and um, get through your days and get through your workload. Like I have everything written down on a master list of the things that I want to do this week, and then I check them off as I go. And whatever I didn't finish, I don't sweat it. I just put it onto the next week. That's something that you could look into doing. How can I better organize myself so that I'm reducing my mental load because we don't have the capacity to just hold all of that stuff in our brains like we used to. Okay, so I'm going to do one more. Question number 6. Sometimes I get so frustrated I could cry. What can I do to manage? Again, this is the frustration. Frustration is a normal reaction when you've had You know, it's kind of like having had a car accident, but there was no car and there was no accident. You've just woken up in a different state. Your body is kind of a different body than it was when you went to sleep. And today you're not having a good memory day and you can't put a sentence together. Sometimes it feels like that. It's so bad. Um, so the frustration part, I find that going for a rage walk is really helpful. If you like to go to the gym, sandbag slams, that's where you take a sandbag over your head and then you try it. Well, what I would do is thwack it down onto the concrete and try to get it to land flat like a pancake so that I got the satisfying thwack every time I did it. And I would actually say stuff like, you know, fuck you, dementia. I was really upset about my dad, um, slowly but surely deteriorating and losing himself. And you can do the same kind of thing. It's good to move your body if you're really frustrated. And if you have to cry, give yourself that grace to acknowledge that you're really upset about it. And the crying is good because you're releasing the stress hormone cortisol. It comes out in your tears. So crying is not a problem. Being frustrated is completely understandable. Anybody would be frustrated if they were always able to do, you know, 6 different things. Um, and accepting that you are frustrated is the first step towards dealing with that frustration. Also, it's, I think, important to tell the people around you what you're going through, because one of the things that has come up for me in my marriage is I look the same. I look pretty much the same. And all, you know, my friends that have known me since I was in my 30s would say, yeah, she pretty much looks the same, but I'm not the same. I've changed and he can't tell. I can be in the middle of having brain fog and I've figured out how to just roll with it in a way that it's not as disruptive and noticeable. But I notice it. I notice that I'm having brain fog and I have to tell him. I have to tell him I'm having a brain fog day or I'm having trouble focusing or I'm having trouble concentrating. And then we both know what to expect. And it's just part of being realistic and taking care of each other. So make sure you talk about it. Talk about what you're going through. Let people know. Don't assume that they know because they don't know. Okay. So this video will end up being parked into the School of Perimenopause. If you haven't looked into that, I really want you to look into it because honestly, I'm nervous about Facebook and the way that they manage stuff now. All of my videos are being erased after 30 days and they can live in the School of Perimenopause in a way that's going to be accessible for everybody. There is a free level you can join. I put all the documents and the speaker videos and these videos will be at the free level so that you guys can get as much help as possible. And then there's bronze, silver, gold. Gold gives you everything. Silver gives you most. And bronze makes sure that you have at least get my classes. So they're the classes that I've got on there. I think there's 7 classes now. And the 21 days to fix your sleep is part of the membership as well, just for 1 class for the free level, 3 classes for the bronze, 7 classes for the silver, and all of the classes for the gold level. So it's a really inexpensive way to do something that used to cost hundreds of dollars. All right. So I didn't get any questions today, but you can also send me questions later. That's totally fine. And for now, I'm going to just end this meeting. Take care.